A knife sheath left at the scene traced straight to a criminology graduate student who had spent years studying killers. On the early morning of the 13th of November 2022, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death in their off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho. Madison and Kaylee were childhood best friends. Xana was known for her ability to connect with anyone, and Ethan, a triplet whose siblings also attended the university, was rarely apart from his family. All four were well-liked students in a tight-knit college town. Police released almost nothing in the first weeks after the murders. That silence created a vacuum. Rumors exploded on social media, and innocent people, including the victims' roommates, were publicly blamed and harassed without evidence. Meanwhile, investigators were quietly building a case. They started with surveillance footage showing a white Hyundai Elantra near the crime scene around the time of the murders. Cell phone records placed Brian Kohberger, a 30-year-old criminology graduate student from nearby Washington State University, in the area that night. His phone went dark immediately before the attacks and powered back on right after, a pattern investigators considered damning. But the breakthrough came from a knife sheath recovered at the scene. DNA on that sheath was traced first to Kohberger's father, then definitively linked to Brian himself. On the 30th of December 2022, just over a month after the murders, Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania during a cross-country trip with his father. He was extradited to Idaho and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. For nearly 3 years, the case crept through the courts. Then, on the 2nd of July 2025, Kohberger confessed. He accepted a plea deal, 4 consecutive life sentences in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. The trial scheduled for August was canceled. Families who had hoped courtroom testimony might finally explain why their children were targeted never got those answers. Investigators and documentary filmmakers later explored possible motives. Kohberger's criminology classmates remembered him asking unusually detailed questions about killers' psychological states, how they felt about their crimes. One theory suggests he studied murder as preparation to commit it. Another centers on incel ideology, involuntary celibate men who harbor rage toward women. Kohberger had a Facebook profile named Papa Roger, an apparent reference to Elliot Rodger, who killed 7 people near UC Santa Barbara in 2014, targeting a sorority house. 3 of Kohberger's 4 victims were members of the same sorority. But Kohberger himself never explained his motive, and the plea deal meant he never testified. On the 23rd of July 2025, a judge formally sentenced him to 4 life terms. The case became a cautionary tale about how social media speculation can harm the innocent, and how a single piece of physical evidence, a forgotten knife sheath, can tie a suspect to a crime scene no alibi can erase. If you want to see how investigators crack cases when the clock is ticking and the evidence is thin, subscribe to True Crime News for careful investigations every week.